Are you ready for a conversation that is super empowering and super impactful? This week's conversation with Madison Dalmaso is really going to change your perspective on a lot of things. Madison is such an accomplished person, and I'm so grateful that she joined me on the show this week to share all of her amazing insight and wisdom with all of us. We talk specifically about all aspects of business and entrepreneurship, but also we focused a lot on what it looks like to build your business for yourself out of your own desires and your own path. This conversation sticks out to me as one of the most soul enriching ones that I could think about, and I really enjoyed having Madison on the show. Let me tell you a little bit about Madison to get us started. After receiving a bachelor's degree in business, Madison decided that the corporate ladder was not going to serve her entrepreneurial spirit. So she invested a year after college, diving into personal development, following her father's footsteps. She's become an expert in social media, a top network marketer, attracted her soulmate, positioned herself to be a world-renowned public speaker, and coaches people globally, helping them to create their ideal life. There's so many nuggets of wisdom in this episode with Madison. I know you're going to love her as much as I love talking to her. Let's get into this conversation. Hi, Madison. Welcome to the Happiness Happens podcast. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Hi, Simona. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
We're going to have such a great conversation today. I love your energy. We've just met and you just have such a great vibe to you. And I'm really excited to pick your brain about happiness, but I also want to talk a little bit about your business as well and what you do and what you help people through and with. So I guess to start us off, I would love, and I ask my guests this at the beginning of the conversation, and I like to see where we go from there, but I would love to know what your take on happiness is.
Want the long one or the short one? This is such a beautiful question. And the timing of it in my life couldn't be more perfect, honestly. The fastest way to figure out what makes you happy is to earn a lot of money and then realize what you really like and what you really don't like. So I'll tell you a little story. 5 years ago, I was presented with an opportunity to become my dad's assistant. He owned 7 businesses at the time and he needed help with them. He's always been a serial entrepreneur. And so I thought, being a business graduate, learning nothing in business school, yeah, sure, why not? Let me be my dad's assistant, swallow my ego and just learn from him. So I did that, learned a lot about social media, ended up developing the whole back end of his consulting and coaching business, and helped him really develop a team around him that now supports him. We went on to earn, doing about 3 to 4 million a year for the last 3 years. I bought my dream car. I moved into a beautiful place in Atlanta, Georgia. I met my soulmate, which I'm so grateful for. I bought the bags, I bought the clothes, I did the things, I traveled a lot. And then I found myself in a place where I wasn't happy. And for a little while, I was like, no, you're happy. You have to be happy. Look at all the things that you have. Mm-hmm. Anyone in your shoes would be happy, Maddie. Why aren't you happy? This was like 6 months ago, by the way. And I had this knowingness inside me that said, you need to do your own business. You need to do it your way. It's time to fly. It's time to leave. You've done your job for dad. You've helped him become this amazing thing. You've helped him create this beautiful support group of people around him. You've helped him, he doesn't know social media and stuff like that. So I built him a team and now it's time to go. But after creating a multi-million-dollar company, you don't really want to go.
Yeah.
It's comfortable. The money's coming in, the team's there. But in my heart, I just knew that if I didn't do this, if I didn't move, if I didn't let it go, if I didn't release the partnership, that I would deeply regret it when I'd be at the end of my life. I knew I would deeply regret it. So mustered up the courage and left. And what that taught me about what my definition of happiness is, happiness, people say money can't buy you happiness. For a long time, I said that wasn't true until I had all the money and I wasn't happy. Honestly, if you don't earn money and create a life that you really love to do, then for me personally, I'd rather earn a normal six-figure a year salary loving what I do and loving my days than be earning the multi-millions and not like the job that I've created for myself in entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm. That's so
Happiness is
important.
an inside job, baby.
I completely agree with you. And it's funny, two things kind of stick out to me while you're saying that. And one was like, I found myself in a very similar situation also, I'd say over the last 6 months as well. And it's so like for me, I'm like, okay, was it part of this? Like, I mean, we're in Canada, the pandemic is never ending over here. Like, it's just very different than other parts of the world. So I was like, okay, is it part of that? Like, is there some, I'm sure there was some of it. But then another part of me was like, okay, I've done everything that I've said that I wanted to do and I'm still not happy. Like, and for someone, I've been talking about happiness for 3 years. You know what I mean? And it's just like, how does that happen? And then, what you said is essentially like, and you'll know this especially from being in the coaching space. There's a big dream that's sold to people of make six figures and you're going to be so happy in your business. And it's just so wild to me because that money, it gives you the ability to buy things, but it's also the external stuff will never bring you that inner joy, you know? It'll bring you a temporary happiness.
I think Kylie Jenner came out a few months back and said something along the lines of, I'm so glad that I made all this money early in my life because
Mm.
she's a self-made billionaire. I mean, she is like she totally is.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm so happy that I made all this money early on in my life because it helped me realize that I don't need anything to be happy. And like I had to find what makes me happy. It was not the money, it was not the things. And if a billionaire can say that,
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, and then from this idea, I would love to know like what's one essential mindset shift you think people need to sort of make in their lives to begin to find what brings them joy, begin to, bring them that inner peace that fuels them.
mhm. I was talking with my clients. We have a weekly mastermind, and I had them the other day. I had them write out all the things that make them happy, all the things,
Mm.
all the little things that they like to do that make them happy. So some of them wrote down like, I love going to the beach. I love going hiking. I love going to the gym. I like eating good food. I like getting manis and pedis. I like getting massages. And I like going to festivals. I like going to concerts. So write down the things that you really enjoy doing that are experiences.
Mm.
Write down the experiences that you like to have. Because what I've realized is that you can like I spent a year working and not really living life
Yeah.
before this transition. And what I realized was it's not the money that we're going to remember, it's the experiences that we've had. So my advice would be to write down all of the things that you really like to do. Like, what is your bucket list? What are the things that you love to do? Small, big, whatever it is. And then do them at least once or twice a week. Like, go on a hike once a week, go get your nails done once a week. Even if, like, you don't need to do this crazy, outlandish spa day, just go get a mani pedi. Like, just start doing things that really bring you joy and start integrating them more into your life. Take time for you, number one. And number two, the biggest mindset shift that people need to have in order to be happy is focus on the moment and be present.
Mm.
And it's so cliche and it's so easy and simple. Like, oh, in theory, that sounds great. Yeah, focus on the moment, be present. Well, what the hell does that mean and how do I do it? Right?
Exactly.
It's a practice and it doesn't happen easily. It, the way that I've been able to bring more happiness into my everyday life is through meditation,
Mm.
through literally setting a timer for 15 to 30 minutes every day and sitting there and just being quiet and thinking about all of the good things that I have in my life. If you think about it, our generation is so inundated with what's next, what's coming, what the future holds, what's the next trend, what's the next best thing to have. And we are inundated and brainwashed with what's next, with cosmetics, the next trends in women bodies. I mean, come on, like we are inundated with it.
Yeah.
Social media is a beautiful tool that helps us connect with people, but it's also very toxic if used in the wrong way. And for a long time, I was following people and just through scrolling through, you might not think it's doing anything, but over time of scrolling through things that are future based and are things that you don't have, you're going to create a very large subconscious gap for yourself that's going to have you focusing on what other people have and what you do not have. And that creates a big bridge between you and your happiness. So number 3 would be go through an unfollowing binge and unfollow people who make you doubt yourself. Unfollow the things, the people, the places that make you doubt yourself, that make you think less of yourself. Some people are like, oh, well, does that mean like I'm judging? Like, I don't care if that means you're judging them right now. Like, you've got to protect your peace, like your inner world. And I don't care if you're judging them right now or whatever you're thinking, like, just if it makes you feel anything but happy to see it, just unfollow.
I love those 3 tips. Those are all so powerful. And especially the part about social media. I agree with you. Like, social media can be used for so much good, and it is used for so much good. But it's when that good becomes toxic in your own life that it really starts to, it can do a lot of harm. It can always, like, I know for me for so long, like I never felt like I was good enough. Right. And then you see all these people in your space, and like, so I do life coaching, and I also have my production business. Right. And so on my life coaching side, I limit the amount of clients that I take because of the capacity that I have. Right. And so I see all of these people who are still doing so much stuff. And I'm like, oh, like sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish like I could do that too, but it's also like, is that even the dream that I want for myself? You know what I mean? Like, do I even want that? Or like, what is the thing that it's representing? Like, what is behind the desire? You know what I mean?
I do, because most of the things that we want, we don't actually want the things. We desire the feeling that the thing brings. So like when I first purchased my dream car, which is it's beautiful. I mean, I still love it. I'm so grateful for it. It's a Range Rover Sport. It's blacked out and has white interior. It's sexy as heck.
I love that.
But more than anything, it made me feel like a wealthy woman. And for a long time, like even now when I get into it, I feel wealthy. So like I don't want things because of the price tag on them or because of the societal whatever. I want things because of the way that they make me feel. I buy clothes because of the way they make me feel. I don't like buying cheap clothes because I don't want to, there's just a feeling that comes with it. So I think the bigger question that people have to ask themselves is like, how do I want to feel on a daily basis? Like, never mind what do you want, what your goals are. How do you want to feel on a daily basis? Do you want to feel wealthy? Do you want to feel empowered? Do you want to feel strong? Do you want to feel confident? Do you want to feel like a boss ass lady? Like, how do you want to feel? And start manifesting those feelings, because that's the trick to everything. I mean, the things come when the feelings are there. The things don't come if the feelings aren't there. If you focus on feeling better as a person, you focus on maintaining your happiness, feeling better in what you do, feeling better about who you are, feeling better about how you help others, then the things that you want will now come to you via the law of attraction. So
I love that.
A lot of people want the things before the feeling, but the universe, God is like, no, you've got to feel the feelings before the things come.
Exactly. Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. Something that I say to myself, I say to my clients all the time, like, you can't appreciate the $1,000, $100,000, $1 million if you don't appreciate the $10. You know what I mean? Like, you really have to be able to feel that gratitude in every single moment of your journey, wherever you are, even if it's not like a pleasant moment right now. I think there's always a way to like find the gratitude, even for the hard lesson that you're learning in the moment that you're in. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
when I was, yeah, I'll tell a story. I love storytelling.
I love your stories.
when I started, so I branched off in May of 2021, and the first 3 months, I felt like I had to prove something. And so I brought in all of this strategy, and like I hired mentors who happened to be men, and I created the same nightmare for myself. By myself. Like, I left for this reason, and then subconsciously I created the same monster again within 3 months. I was like, what? And so I had to like look at myself and be like, well, what am I doing? Like, what do I want? Like, I did it out of ego, and I did it to prove something that I could do it. And I did. I mean, I generated 6 figures in my first month. That was great. But then I invested in these people who my heart wouldn't have invested in. My heart wouldn't have hired, but my ego hired them because I wanted to prove that I was XYZ, that I could start a company and boom, be out of the gates. And so I had a freaking hard check. I invested 30 grand into like ads and stuff, and then I invested 18K into a coach, and both of those things just didn't go where I thought they were gonna go.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I had a harsh like reality check of like, okay. And then 3 months in, I found myself starting over again. Like
Oh,
fired everyone, let go of everyone, and then was like, okay, let's build this slow and steady in a way that feels good to me,
yeah.
in a way that makes me feel like the woman that I want to be, like we get into business and entrepreneurship because we want to live a life of fun and freedom and fulfillment and service. At least those are my values. And all of a sudden I was bringing in things that were not bringing me more fun, not bringing me more freedom, and not helping me serve people in the way that I wanted to. So I think also a big part of happiness is knowing your values and knowing your boundaries and listening to them.
Mm-hmm. I think
Not
that's
listening
so
to ego, because ego is driven by the things that you see, like, oh, gotta do that, gotta get this, gotta do this, blah, blah, blah. She's doing that, I've got to go here, he's doing that. It's like, fuck that.
Yeah. How did you get from someone who was so in the masculine, like energy, if we're going to take energy, for example, like so in their masculine, because like, I'll be very honest, like I'm someone who's like operates out of my masculine most of the time because I run a production company. Like I have to, I can't be like, well, let it flow. And like, maybe the work will get done to like, no, like I can't do that because there's people who like rely on deliverables. Right. And I'm good with that. Like I enjoy being in my masculine when I want, like when I need to be, and then I also like being in my feminine energy when it's like, time to be creative and like getting to, call different things in. So how have you always been someone who has been more in their masculine? And then how did you start to like make that shift? Because your business is like feels very soulfully aligned. And that's like a big shift that you have to make internally within yourself to even be able to get to that place.
So this whole feminine and masculine thing, I think it confuses a lot of people into thinking like extremes. Like if we think about political parties, right? Like there's left and right extremists.
Yeah.
But then like there's also like a middle ground that's like totally freaking fine and works very well. Like, hello, that's me. Masculine and feminine is the same way. If you're too extreme in either direction, you're off balance. And I'm not a believer in balance. Like I don't teach balance. I don't, because I think I'm out of balance and always finding balance all of the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes I love being out of balance and dramatically all into something because it feels good to me. So I don't believe in balance. I believe in going where we feel pulled to go and giving our all the time. For me, I was programmed and raised to be very masculine. I had my mom is just a freaking beast. Like she's beautiful. Was the breadwinner for most of her life. She raised 2 children, amazing children, if I do say so myself.
I would say so too.
But she's just incredible. She was emancipated when she was 16 or 17, started cleaning business when she was younger, like worked her ass off forever, like literally cleaned 3 houses the day she delivered me. So she was forced to be in her masculine. Like she didn't have a choice. Like she had to get things done. She didn't have the man to do the work. Like she was the man and the woman. Like she was both energies in one human. And my dad was always super, super masculine, construction worker, engineer, architecture, like, all the structure. So innately, I'm really masculine. But what I found is through knowing what my values are and knowing clearly what I desire my life to look like allows me to tap into my feminine energy and lead my business from that space.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I'm not masculine. Like I love strategies. I love aligned, good feeling, fun strategies. I love them.
Yeah.
But when you're doing strategies just to do them because you think that that's what you have to do, you're too far in your masculine and you're not listening to yourself or intuition at all. You're way too out of your feminine. So what I find is when I set my boundaries of like, this is what I want to spend, this is what I will not spend, this is what I'm saving every month, these are the percentages that I'm doing X, Y, and Z with, like financial structure and boundaries, like masculine structure and boundaries allows you to be more feminine in your decision making.
Mm.
It's so freeing. And for a long time, I would just, you get into personal development, they're like, "Oh, invest before you can do this." It's like, okay, more will come, and great, more will come, but I don't want to be 60 years old saying, "Oh, well, more is going to come," but I'm really stressed out right now.
Exactly. And I've been
Yeah.
stressed my whole life. I love this perspective so much, and I think it's so important, and I really want to like pull it out right now for like everyone who's listening, is that there's so much, especially when you're in the coaching space, there's so much about how being in your masculine energy is wrong, how you shouldn't be in that energy to like lead a business or, run programs and that kind of thing. But like you seriously, sincerely could not be more right. Like they have to coexist. You know what I mean? Even people like, Manifestation Babe, for example, like there are times where she has to sit down and record things, you know what I mean? And like you have to stick to schedules and like you have to get things done.
With saying like I have to, like, so that's a like that one phrase, like I have to, is an extreme masculine statement, right?
Mm,
But if you can look at it and say, like, what do I just like, okay, this is what I want, this is my desire, this is how I want to feel, this is the life that I want to live. So you do the feminine work first. You say, like, this is the vision, right? Like, think back old times. The woman would have the vision, she'd cook the food, she'd take care of the children, she would nurture the dream,
mhm.
right? So if you do that part first, then you can take masculine action out of your feminine, like from your feminine standpoint. You can move into your masculinity of taking action and doing things that feel good to you. Doesn't mean you do nothing like a fairy god princess and just sit there and do nothing all day and make fun of people who are working their asses off. Like that's not cool. And that needs to end. Like that is, I hate that.
Yeah, I hate it too.
I hate that. It sets up such a false what am I saying? A false like
Like perception, like a false
yes.
reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then people are doing nothing and wondering why they're not successful. It's like,
Yeah,
well, come on.
exactly. We got to
It's
put a
like,
little bit of energy behind the passion, the dream, the passion, the vision,
right,
right?
right. So what I like to do is I like to say, this is what I want. This is how I want to run my business. This is how I want to live my life. This is how I want to feel every day. What can I do that supports that?
Hmm.
Okay, podcasts. Okay, I love speaking. I love speaking. Right? That might be an extreme masculine thing for some people because they might not like speaking. They might be forcing themselves to speak.
Yeah.
I don't. I love it. And so for me, it's a very easy, fun thing, but it's still action.
Exactly. But that's serving what you want. Like that's serving your vision, that's serving your dream. And when you speak, you get to speak from a place of being centered, being aligned, like knowing what you're talking about, like sharing a message that's important, right? Like I think that's so important. And I do like that you called out, like, I have to do X, Y, and Z, because that's a lot of like, I come from like a big, long corporate career. Whole family is like very, very, very masculine. Even my mom, like kind of similar to you. And it's always like, okay, I have to do this, I gotta go here, I gotta do this, whatever, whatever. And so it takes me a lot to get back into that feminine energy, back into that intuition. But once I connect, it's very fast. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's there. It's just so interesting. It's like something I feel like you constantly learn how to work with your own energy within your own self. Like sometimes it's the one particular way, and then another time it's a little bit different, right? I don't know. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
that's making any sense, but
No,
I
you
like that
totally are.
you brought that to life, because it's a good reminder, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think the easiest way to tap into it is to start your morning off from a feminine space. Because let's be real, like the feminine power is stronger than masculine. That is true. The feminine part represents the spiritual aspect of what we are, right? It's the inner, it's the intuition, it's the higher mental faculties, it's your ability to tap into source, to vibration, to feel frequency. Like it's your creating power, right? It's the creation, it's the nurturing, it's the dream, it's the visionary, right? So it's more powerful because that's where everything starts. And it's not that you can't be successful always being an extremely in your masculine. Like I watched my dad be very successful in his masculine for years and years and years. Um, but was he the very tapped in, tuned in person?
Yeah.
No. Was he very self-aware? No. Was he really living the life that he was like excited and proud of? No. He was successful on paper into society, but inwardly there wasn't much going on. And he would even say this today.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is I like to start from a feminine space, and then from that space, then I can write out what I'm going to do that day and the inspired action that I get from that space. Because if you just take action all day long with no vision and no feeling behind it, you're spinning in circles. You're spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
So
It's
you gotta have both.
it's so true. Oh, that's so good. I love it. Okay, this is my last question, and it's a question that I ask all my guests when they come on the podcast. I've been asking it for so long, and every single time I love to hear the answers. So, what would you say is one way that someone could create more happiness in their life every single day starting today?
Hmm. Ready?
Yes.
Set your timer for 5 minutes. Close your eyes and smile.
I love that.
Mhm. Because and I'll explain why. It's not just woo woo, like whatever. There's science behind it. See, feminine, masculine. There's
Balance.
a balance. Do this woo woo thing, and this is why.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. So when your body takes action, it causes you to feel a certain way. Um, like when you see people crying or you see people with sad faces, you also kind of get sad. Um, you don't know why when you see something that makes you happy, you smile, but you do. So something was stimulated you from your external environment, made you feel happy, and then your body responded by putting a smile on your face.
Hmm.
So we can do that oppositely, right? We can reverse engineer that whole process by smiling first, then feeling happy, then seeing the results of our happiness. Just like we can see a cute puppy, the puppy's the external stimulus and it says, "Hi, little puppy." And you say, "Oh my God, I love this puppy." And you feel so good. And now you're smiling and now you're in high vibration and you're happy momentarily. Well, we can just reverse engineer that and say, okay, let me make my body do something. Let me smile. Let me fake it. Act as if you're freaking happy for 5 minutes. Your body will catch on. You will start to feel happy. Your vibration will increase. And then you will see results that are aligned with that feeling throughout your day. It's science. It works. 5 minutes a day. Sit there and smile in your closet.
I
It'll
love
change
that.
your life.
Oh, that's so good. And I have to say, this conversation has completely raised my own vibration. I love it. I feel like my soul is like getting like a
Me
hug from
too.
like the inside out. It's so good. I've loved everything that you've shared. Can you please tell everyone where they can find you so that they can follow
Yes.
along and learn more about you?
Yes. Easiest place to find me and everything that I do is Instagram. So I'll make it super easy. It's just official Madison Rose. That's my handle. Official
Perfect.
Madison Rose.
Simple.
Easy peasy.
I love it. Amazing.
Yeah.
Madison, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. This was such a great conversation.
Thank you, Simona. It was a blessing to meet you and have this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks so much, everyone, for tuning into this week's podcast episode. Please connect with Madison and let us know that you're listening. Share it on Instagram, share it on social media, tag us so we know you're listening. And I hope you have a beautiful day ahead. Remember that happiness happens when you're least expecting it.